I've got some of my tomato seedlings here, my little starters. I started these in clear, just plastic cups so I can see the roots, and then I started with just a tiny little bit of soil in here so I can keep adding soil to them as they grow, because their stems actually, the roots grow quite high up. And these little plastic cups were really cheap, and I just cut little slits in the bottom of them on both sides so that way the water can get in, water can drain, the roots can come out. So I have a bunch of tomato starters, some here, and then all of these up here. These ones I'm going to start decapitating. It's called topping actually, but I have 2 starters in this one, 2 plants in this one cup. This one I just decapitated right there, and this one I am going to. So it has its first true leaves on here, even though it's still really tiny, and it looks kind of scary to do this. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm devastating my starters. But it has its first true leaves, and by leaving this on here, that little middle stem, by leaving that on there, this is going to be the main stem that starts to grow, and all of my tomatoes are going to be produced on this one stem. If I top it, which is just taking it and pinching it, or you can use, scissors or something, but when I take this stem off, it's going to force new stems to grow, and it's actually going to produce 2 new stems that are going to start to grow from here and go out and have 2 stems for double production, double yield, instead of just 1 stem. 1 stem with tomatoes, that's all you get. 2 stems with tomatoes, obviously you get a lot more tomatoes. So it's really simple. I'm doing them when they're still small, because if I let this continue to grow too much and then I try to top it, it's not gonna produce the new stems as quickly. So I don't want to go all the way down to the leaves, just a little bit above it, and I'm just using my fingernail and pulling it off. And now my plants look naked and afraid, but trust the process, guys. So here are my 2 true leaves, and right there, same with this one right there. And I know they look weak and puny compared to a little luscious, but I would rather do this when they're still young and small little seedlings, so that way I can get double yield right here. And then I have a third one. This one's, if you can see, real tiny. So I'm gonna be careful to get underneath the leaves all the way down. There we go. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and it produces such a good yield. So here's our first true leaves, and we're just gonna pinch it right there and take off the top. But these are indeterminate tomatoes, which means that they're gonna keep growing up. I trellis them. I grow them in a high tunnel and I trellis them, and so they trellis all the way up and then kind of fall back over, and they will grow so well here in South Carolina. So all my tomatoes are indeterminate. I don't like the determinate round bushy tomatoes. I like the indeterminate that I can trellis. And by topping these, I get so many tomatoes, double yield. And every time I do this, it freaks people out, because I'm taking all this nice, like, oh look, they're finally growing, they look cute, and then goodbye. I highly recommend it though. Highly recommend it, and do it when they're still little. You don't have to wait until you get them planted to go out and start pruning and topping. Do them while they're still small seedlings, so that way they can get an early start on the double yield. Some of these did not germinate, and again, I'm just using plastic cups this year. Last year I used like really nice potting cups, and this year I'm doing plastic so I can see the roots. I started off with just a little soil so I can add more as they grow, and then I just cut slits in the sides so the roots can come out. There's drainage, water can get in because I'm doing a bottom watering now since the leaves don't like water. But this is so much cheaper. It's definitely more feasible for when you're starting all of your seeds indoors, which I am. And then if I take you over to that side, I got more over there. So definitely a cheaper option when you're starting a bunch of seeds. And I'm growing 11 different varieties this year. So again, true leaves, and the top, just a quick pinch. My plants are probably a little upset with me when I do this at first, and then they love it. And it's always a little bit scary after I do this and I come in and check and it just looks like they're so naked. This smaller one down here, I'm gonna wait for that one to grow a little bit taller because it's so close to the true leaves that I don't want to just break the whole stem. So I'll wait on those smaller ones until they get bigger. But like these ones that have a lot more room are real perfect to do it to. So that's all there is to it. The first time I did this, I thought it was crazy. I saw someone else do it, and I didn't know that you could create 2 liters on your indeterminate tomatoes, but you sure can. Okay, that one, oops, sorry. That one's too small, so I have to wait on that. They look so pathetic. I'm growing a very specific number of plants this year, so I started extra seedlings, because some of them didn't germinate at all, which sucks, and then other ones I have like 2 or 3 plants in each, and I started more than I need just to make sure that I would have enough, because I have, I think, 11 varieties and 65 plants in total that I'll be growing in my tunnel for tomatoes this year. Okay, that one was one too small. So those just went from like luscious and nice to looking all pathetic. So I just took all that off. And it seriously is just a trusted process. You get a new tray down. Those up top. I'm gonna take the ones that didn't germinate and see if I need to count up all of my plants and restart any of those. These ones need to be moved to the center because they're getting a little leggy. All right, gone. That one's, ooh, those true leaves are looking a little pathetic. See, look at how pretty this one looks. And now, I hate it. The double yield that I get from these though is so worth just having pathetic looking starters early on. And you can surely do this to some of your starters and not to all. If you're not quite sure that you want to take the risk in decapitating all of your tomatoes, if you're just wanting to test it out on some, go for it, because I was scared too the first time. But by taking off this one stem, it's going to force 2 stems to grow back, and you're going to have double production, 2 liters instead of one main stem. You'll have 2 main stems and double the tomatoes. And if they're too small, you can wait, but we're just pinching as close to the first true leaves as possible. Pinch. You can do scissors instead of your fingernails. I just have an easier time because they're so small getting in there. Okay, so there's my leaves. Here's the center main stem. Take that off. If I would have weighed all of the tomatoes that we grew last year in pounds, I'm sure it would have been quite insane how much we grew last year. And this year I'll be doing 65 tomato plants. This one's not quite tall enough. Well, I guess that one is. I could let it go a little bit longer, but I think I can pinch that without tearing off the leaves. All right, time for another tray. So they just went from looking all luscious to looking totally puny. But it's so worth it for double yield. These are going to be large red cherry tomatoes, and they're indeterminate variety. So pinch it off, and now instead of one main stem, it'll force 2 main stems to grow back, and I will have double yield. Poor little tomatoes. Definitely easier with my fingers than scissors. You want to get as low as you can. That one's... These ones I'm going to let grow a little taller because they're still really close to the leaves and I don't want to tear those off. These ones are okay. I guess I could have gone a couple more weeks before doing this, but last year I waited a little too long to do it and I regretted it because I think it's more stress on them when they're bigger, less stress on them right now. And for those of you who just got on, don't waste your money on expensive pots for growing your starters and just use some plastic cups. Cut little slits in the bottom so the water can drain. You can bottom water when they start growing and the roots can come out, and it's just, I'm saving so much money this year by doing it this way. You could use the red solo cups too, but I like these plastic ones so I can see how the roots are doing. This one I'm going to let get a little bit bigger before I pull those off. And I'm pulling out my ones that didn't germinate, which sucks. So that way I can take account and inventory and see if I need to start some more seedlings before I put any of these outside. Let's do another tray. It really is a quick and easy process though. And then these will all just go in the compost. Oh my gosh. They don't want to come apart. All right, there it is. Just definitely gotta trust the process here, guys, because it looks like my little starters are sad and pathetic right now, but I promise you they do so much better after just taking these tops off. They're gonna start to grow big, produce double yield for me. That one's, oh nope, there's plenty of room right there, so as close to the first true leaf as possible. And I got most of my tomato seeds from, no, my peppers were from Baker's Creek. My tomatoes were kind of from different places. That one I'm gonna let grow taller before I decapitate it. See, so this is one's tall, so it's easier to show you. This is gonna grow into one main stem. This is the main stem on this plant. And so I'm only gonna get tomatoes from this stem. By decapitating it or topping it and pinching this off, it's going to form 2 new stems to grow from here. And I will have 2 leaders. Instead of 1 leader, I'm gonna have 2 leaders. And that's gonna produce the double tomatoes for me. And I've been doing this the last few growing seasons, and it's scary to do at first. I recognize that, but it's definitely worth it. Get rid of it right there. I want to move some of these around so they're not as leggy. And let's move down here. I'm excited to see. All right, I have some lettuce and basil and other things. Hot peppers, which were taking a really long time to get started, and they're all starting to pop up now, but my peppers were taking a really long time. I just got those tomatoes done. So yeah, that is decapitating your tomatoes. They look pathetic right now, but it's gonna help so much. Let me take you guys over here and show you what else I got. Hold on. I need to go get my beans and peas out to the garden. These are growing crazy all over the place right now, and they're actually wanting to vine up on some like spider webs up there. So I have all these that I need to go get transplanted out. I'm going to start to harden these off this week. So my beans, my peas, and then I also have kohlrabi, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, chard. Over there, a bunch of mints. Herbs, sorry, parsley, oregano, thyme, sage, peppermint, spearmint, basil, celery, all that stuff over here. So this is my little grow room, and that was decapitating tomatoes. Give it a try, y'all. Let me know what you guys think, how it works out for you.